Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fast Money Football. I'm your host, Albert Vartanian, here on the parlay. My sidekick today, once again, is the one and only Sara Poraria. She's got her Barcelona kit on. We're going to be talking Europa League. They have a massive matchup against Napoli in Italy, plus a couple more Europa League matches we will chat about. Also, Arsenal Wolves play in the Premier League, another makeup match, a top four match, a very, very big match, like I said, with top four implications. Speaking of teams that are trying to battle for top four, Sarah, Tottenham yesterday lost 1-0 to Burnley. Before we get into the Conte and how Spurs played, I think Burnley deserve a lot of credit because it's been overshadowed by what Antonio Conte said, by Spurs' performance as well. They were fantastic. They just wanted to win more. I thought they actually came out and played. They didn't just sit back. So I think before we get into anything, because it hasn't been said by Conte, by any players, I haven't heard any pundits or analysts talk about it. Burnley, they were fantastic, and Wout Weghorst is looking like one of the steals of the transfer deadline because he's come to this team and he's fit in right away. I mean, it's rare where you see players who come in from different leagues to fit straight into the Premier League. I mean, we're seeing it with Luis Diaz at Liverpool, but Weghorst has come in and he's kind of transformed that team from an attacking sense. But now on to Antonio Conte. 4 defeats out of 5 for Spurs. He's an unhappy man, even though he was very happy after they beat City, making jokes, best squad of players, yada, yada, yada. This is what he had to say. 4 defeats out of 5 is not good enough. This is the first time in my life this has happened. Maybe I'm not so good. Tottenham called me to improve the situation, but I'm too honest. Too honest to close my eyes and to take my salary. He also said, I need to talk to the club. Tottenham have to make an assessment about the club, about me. We need to find the best solution. I can't accept to keep losing. I'm sorry. Here, coaches change, but players are always the same, but results don't change. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it was a really strange post-match press conference that, the making an assessment kind of, insinuates that he's not going to be there much longer because clearly he's expressed he's not happy. He also acknowledged the players aren't happy. Of course, the fans aren't happy. But he also said something like, he was referring to a problem that can't be coached. He did say, maybe I'm not good enough for this team. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought. But, talking about something like that he really kind of put it on the players. Like the way I took it, and maybe I'm wrong, but he kind of made it seem like this was the team's issue, that it doesn't matter who's coming in, but this has been an ongoing issue and it's not changing. And I don't know, I just thought it was very strange. It was a little unprofessional. Obviously Tottenham's having problems. Like no, Spurs fan is unaware of this issue, but to come out and just openly speak about it right after a loss of a game before, going into your locker room, before talking to, a GM, like it's a little weird.
Yeah. So my initial reaction was, first, I can't believe what he's saying. And second, he's gone. There's no way that someone comes out and does this interview and these post-press conferences and says these things and stays. And you got to remember, he did this 3 times. He did this interview pitch side, at the post presser, and then he did one like in the hallway at Turf Moor with Sam Matterface from TalkSport. And he said the exact same thing, like literally the exact same thing in all 3 of them. So this was, I don't want to say it was planned, but he knew what he wanted to say. He did. I mean, he called out the players. He's also calling out the management. He put a little bit on himself where he's saying, maybe I'm not so good. I think he knows exactly what he's saying. And you have to understand that him coming here, he would have known that this is the team that he's inheriting, that this isn't, maybe a 2-season or a 2 transfer window fix. This is a long-term build. So maybe he actually isn't the right guy for this because Conte comes in, he spends the money he needs to spend, and within, a season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, his team starts winning silverware. With Spurs, it's not that. There's a lot of players that need to be moved out, and they've done that already. I mean, look what happened. You come in, you send out Dembele, you send out Lo Celso, you send out Brian Hill on loan. You're sending out these players where you're weakening your squad, but this was up to him. He wanted to do this. And back to the comments, I thought it was completely unprofessional. You come out and say these things. This is a conversation that needs to happen with you and the board, not you and the media. You go out there, you tell your players how you feel, you talk to the management and tell them how you feel, but to come out and say, who cares about my salary? They need to make an assessment on me, essentially saying, get rid of me. which I don't understand. I haven't seen a manager do this ever. So I think it's very dramatic. It's a lot of moaning. And now looking back on it, I don't think he's actually going to leave. I think he's just sending a message to the board for whatever reason. Not like anything can change now anyway. You can't sell players now. You can't buy players now. They're going to have to wait until summer, which I always thought that's when Antonio Conte is going to make his stamp on this Tottenham team, is in the summer window where he can really ship out players, bring in the players he wants, have an actual preseason, because he came in midway through, so no preseason, which is always difficult for a manager. So I think the summer is where he's really going to show what he's worth. But coming out and saying this at such a crucial point in the season, where Spurs actually weren't even that bad against Burnley. Burnley were just better. And it doesn't just come down to the players. He has to take some of that blame as well, because he's setting up a team to play a certain way. And I think in certain positions, they just don't have the personnel. I mean, he's playing Kulusevski as a right wing back, or he's played Doherty as a left wing back out of position. The midfield obviously isn't strong enough. Okay, he has the goal scorers and Kane and Son, but I mean, that system just isn't working currently for Spurs. So I think a lot of blame has to go back on him, but at the same time, he can't be coming out at this point in the season saying these things, because nothing is going to happen. Nothing can change. I mean, what's going to happen when he gets into the office with Daniel Levy and has a conversation about what he said? Levy's going to be like, well, you knew what you were coming into. We can't do anything now, but I told you we're going to back you in the summer. So it's just going to be one of these ongoing things. And I think based on Spurs results is how we're going to see Antonio Conte react.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about him having to, speak to Levy or anyone on the board and, bringing it upstairs basically. But I think, in my opinion, right now, the critical issue is the way the players are going to feel about this, right? Because they're the ones that are going to be on the pitch. And for them to have, the coach go and say this too, I think it puts a bad taste in their mouth. Clearly, there have been issues. Like, he kind of insinuated that in the press conference with certain players, or, and that's always, coaches are going to have to deal with that. But I think this is just kind of adding more fuel to the fire at this point. Like, if I were a player, I would be upset, regardless if I was getting along with the coach or not. I'd be like, what do you, like, we know we did not, we haven't been doing well. Like, of course they're aware, but I just think it's going to cause a little bit more, trouble in the locker room now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, it's going to prolong this issue.
That's why I thought it was very unnecessary for him to come out and say these things, because, the players have been coming out since he's been at Spurs, how happy they are, how much fitter they are, how better that they feel themselves. Kane, same thing. Son, Hugo Lloris getting that new contract. So it's been all good. I mean, obviously these defeats don't help, but this is going to cause this harmony in the dressing room for sure. And a lot of this has to be put on the board as well. I mean, over the years, it's the same players in the team that are underperforming. Harry Kane, you can say what you want. He has 7 goals in 25 games in the Premier League, or 24 games in the Premier League, which isn't good enough. And I'm not putting just the blame on him, but he's been there for a long time. Eric Dyer, Ben Davies, Hugo Lloris. I mean, you can even lump in Lucas Moura into that, because he's been there since Mauricio Pochettino. These players, there hasn't been a freshening up of the squad. Mauricio Pochettino talked about this before he left. He goes, after the Champions League, he's like, it's going to be painful what we need to do here, but it needs to be done. And he was talking about rebuilding the team. That team hasn't been rebuilt. And now this is the third manager, or fourth manager since Mauricio Pochettino, who's having the same issues with the same players. So what I'm trying to say here is that the blame goes all around the club, from the top to the bottom. But as a manager at this point in the season, you can't do anything about it. You can't bring in your players, like I keep saying. Coming out and saying these things doesn't do anything but harm, unless he actually wants to leave the club. If he does, then I completely understand these comments. I still don't agree with it. I think it's completely unprofessional. I just don't see what good can come out of this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. There's also going to be a spotlight on Tottenham for the next couple of weeks too. Everyone's just going to be monitoring how they play, press conferences, what's going on. I'm also realizing today that I'm Michael Singh. Hey, how are you? Do you see my little banner?
Oh, you got the Michael Singh on the banner. Okay, we'll switch that up.
But yeah, no, it's tough for Tottenham right now. I think they're 9th overall. It's not looking too good, but I think you're right. I think Conte will end up staying. I think the summer is when they're gonna, thrive and make these changes that you've been talking about, rebuild this team, emphasize working with the players that have been, playing well, and I don't know. It's gonna be a tough rest of the season for you guys. Unfortunately, I think that's just what's ahead.
So they have Leeds this weekend. Who knows if Antonio Conte is going to be in the dugout or not? I think he will be. You would expect to see some sort of a bounce back performance from Spurs, and they're taking on obviously a depleted Leeds team who just got smashed. I mean, we called it. They got smashed by Liverpool 6-0. They looked fantastic once again. Liverpool 3 points, Sarah,
Mm.
between them and Manchester City. The title race is on. I think City has Everton next, which huge implications at the top and bottom of the league. But for the top four spot, there is a big matchup tonight. It's Arsenal against Wolves. They're split by 2 points. Arsenal in sixth with 42, Wolves with 40. Arsenal, big favorites here. But if you're talking about form teams in the Premier League, Wolves has to be at the top of that list.
Yeah, I actually think it's gonna be a great game. I think
Yeah.
these two play well against each other. They're very compatible. Like it's good football, and also just like the past couple years, Wolves have been such a fun team to watch. They were like my underdog team a few years ago because just I just love the way they play. But I think Arsenal is Arsenal's been looking good as of late. They kind of snapped out of their little bit of a dip at the end of the fall kind of winter term there, but Martinelli's back, which is huge. He was suspended for the last game. He's been doing amazing for this team, and Tomiyasu will be there. So I think it's just the quality of the players Arsenal has right now with Odegaard as well, Bukayo Saka. Like they have a little bit more to give, but I don't think that this game is going to be a wash for sure. I think it's going to be a fight because you can't take a team like Wolves. Like you can never assume that it's going to be an easy game because they have a ton of talent on that team too. I just think Arsenal right now are in slightly better form.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves obviously one of the best defensive records in the league. They concede less than a goal per game. And look, Pedro Neto, he's back. He came off the bench in in Wolves' last game against Leicester. A huge boost for them. That's been one of their issues this year. We keep talking about it, is the lack of goals. And now he was their top scorer last year. And if now he enters the mix, Raul Jimenez kind of finding a scoring touch, Daniel Podence, Neves is chipping in with some goals. Moutinho, they're obviously a threat from set pieces with Max Kilman, Connor Cody. I think they're really going to cause Arsenal some problems here. I'm not sure if they come away with the victory because going to the Emirates is difficult. But a draw has to be on the cards here. I mean, if you want to back the draw, it's plus 270. Draw no bet for Wolves is plus 300. Double chance. So Wolves winner draws plus 150. I think that's fantastic value. There's no way I'm going to back Arsenal at home minus 150 to one of the best teams currently in the Premier League. I just don't see any value in that. But the draw and probably the under are two things I'm going to look at.
Yeah, I would also say, expect goals in this game. Maybe not high scoring, but I would take both teams to score as well because I don't think either team is gonna get away with a clean sheet this game.
I would like to see Pedro Neto start. I mean, I think that'd be a huge boost for Wolves. And, with what's going on at Tottenham right now and teams below them, West Ham kind of faltering, I think this is a real opportunity for Arsenal and Wolves to make a huge jump into this top four race. To me, right now, if I'm going top two teams to make the top four, it's probably Wolves and Arsenal. So a massive matchup in the Premier League today. So your official pick, just to give it away for the folks?
I'm still going to take Arsenal to win, but I'm taking both teams to score.
All right, give me that draw no bet at plus, what did I say? Plus 240? No, plus 300. It's actually gone up. Wolves plus 300, a draw no bet. So draw, you get your money back if they win. Guess what? You win your money. Europa League, Sarah, second leg of the round of 16 playoffs, massive matchups. And I think we talked about it last week. I mean, we're actually really excited for Europa League matches for the first time in a long time because there are some very good teams, starting with Lazio and Porto. Porto won the first leg 2-1, Tony Martinez with 2 goals. Lazio now plus 130 favorites at home. They need to score at least 2 goals here, Sarah. Do you see them doing it?
I don't know. This game is so tight. I was looking into some of the stats and I was just checking out this game. So, Porto has been unstoppable this season in, the Portuguese league. They haven't lost a UCL game since December against Atleti, but Lazio has only lost 1 home game at the Stadio Olimpico this season. What a stat. Like, what a crazy, crazy stat. I didn't realize their home form was that impeccable. So it makes me think, I think Porto is going to win this game, but you know, Lazio at home is tough. Like, I think it's going to be a really close game again, like the first leg. But I still think overall Porto has just been way more consistent this season in terms of not only their league, but in Europe as well. And I think it's going to be similar to the first leg with like a 2-1. I still expect Lazio to put something in the back of the net. But I think Porto is just, they're just way more consistent.
This is really a battle of a team with fantastic home form and a team with fantastic away form. You mentioned it. I mean, only one loss at the Stadio Olimpico. Actually, they've scored the most goals at home in the Serie A. So that tells you a lot. I mean, going ahead of a team like Inter, Juventus, it shows you their attacking power, but they're going to be missing some key players. Pedro, he looks set to miss out. I think he came off in the first half against Udinese. They drew 1-1 on Sunday. Ciro Immobile, he's also in doubt. He had a fever. He's missed a couple of games, but Luis Alberto could be coming back into the mix. But they're going to be missing some key players. But, I mean, what's the plan here for Lazio? We have to go out and try and score goals, and that's exactly what they're going to try and do. And I'm with you. I think the goals come from both sides, but we also have to take into account Porto's away form. 7 wins on the spin, 4 clean sheets. They know how to shut games down. They have that leader in Pepe who's been there before. We've seen them do it in the Champions League. So I think with the away goals rule gone, we're going to see Porto sit back, but I think chances are going to pop up because there's going to be so much space with Lazio committing bodies forward. So I'm with you. I think goals here. I don't know about over 2.5, or excuse me, both teams to score because I was looking at that. I just don't know if Porto score, but I think Lazio can probably get a couple.
Yeah, no, it's the away goal. We've really seen how it's affected like the UCL and Europa so far. It's really interesting because so many teams are kind of just like, yeah, well, we don't actually need this goal because we can just go home and win.
Well, Sarah, look at Rangers, right? Look, they go to Dortmund, they win 4-2, and with the away goals rule, if that was in, they'd probably be clear. They go home, score 1 goal, the tie is dead. But it's far from dead now with that away goal rule out of it.
Yeah. I don't know if I like it or not yet. Like, I'm still adjusting, and I know when you're on the other end of the away goal rule, it's brutal, but at the same time, I feel like the football was just a little bit more like exciting, a little bit more accelerated. So we'll see. I think we're still easing into it. But yeah, I don't know. Lazio's, like we said, form at home has been great, but yeah, with missing player like Ciro Immobile, that's a big loss. I think that Porto is going to win this game, but same thing as the other game. I'm going to take both teams to score here as well. I do see at least a few goals, maybe not high. I honestly can see a 2-1 again.
Yeah, if you're liking the 2-1, that means you like the over 2.5 as well, which is at around even money, which is pretty good value. I'm going a little different. I'm going Lazio to score in the first half, plus 102. Hear me out. They've scored in the first half in 9 of their last 11 games. Porto also tends to score in the first half. And because Lazio, we keep saying it, they have to come out and try and score goals. And I think they need to do that early. We can see them pop one in the first half. So plus 102 for a Lazio goal in the first 45. Now moving on to the big one, at least for you, Sarah. Napoli, Barcelona in Italy. Napoli plus 175, Barcelona plus 160. The first leg ended 1-1. Torres with the scoring with the goal for Barcelona. Zielinski for the goal for Napoli. All to play for in this one. But that first leg could have gone and probably should have gone to Barcelona. But Torres, he just wasn't very good with the chances that he had. Missed the net a ton of times. They can't be doing that in this leg because Lazio is going to be coming at them.
Yes. I heard in the early in the week that Insigne might not be playing, but it looks like he's going to be there, and I was really stoked for a minute because any advantage we can get. But yeah, this is absolutely, in my opinion, Barcelona's game to lose. Like they should be winning this game, especially with the way they played against Valencia on the weekend. Aubameyang is here. His presence has been recognized, and I'm really happy that kind of happened before this game because that's going to give him that confidence boost. I think it really depends, honestly, on who Xavi decides to start. I know Araujo is back for us, which is major because our defense is terrible right now. He's really like our best defender. Jordi Alba and PK are great, but they're just getting old. And if I see Eric Garcia starting in a lineup ever again, I might have to change teams because he's really just awful.
Right.
But I'm happy to see Araujo looks to be there. I think in the front, you got to let Aubameyang start. I want to see Traore up there, and you got to let Gavi start. I want this 17-year-old to just thrive with this team. So I think it depends, because a lot of the times with Barca, for so many years with past coaches as well, we don't make subs. We don't change the lineup. We kind of just sit back and wait until 85th minute. Let's make a change. You can't do that. If it's not working, be pragmatic about it. So I'm hoping, Ferran, I still think he's a great player, but maybe don't give him the start today because we have other players that are performing. But I'm really I think really Barcelona, they have to win. I mean, of course, Napoli has to win too, but I'm expecting Barca to, come out of the gate swinging and praying we win. I'm taking them. I have to take them. But yeah, what do you think?
Did you think that 4-1 win over Valencia was their best performance under Xavi? I thought it was.
It was definitely up there. I also thought the game against Atletico a few weekends back was also really amazing. Dani Alves scoring, that was just incredible. It's a big loss we have in the Europa League, not being able to play Alves, just because I think, he's an older player, but he brings a lot of mentorship and leadership. So it's been a struggle a bit to kind of also replace him in that right wing position. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They're coming off of one of their best wins of the season. And, it's I don't know. I'm really, really thinking they should win this game. But as we've seen in the past, Barcelona is super inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get. So it depends what team is going to show up today.
For Napoli, some serious injury concerns. Hirving Lozano, Matteo Politano, Lorenzo Insigne, and Andre Zambo and Guisa are all likely to be missing. That is huge in a key fixture like this. And at home, they haven't been the greatest. Only one win in the last 6 home matches in all competitions, losing 3. And Barcelona obviously coming in with a ton of form. They look very good. They're scoring goals. I think the way you're speaking, it's clear. Xavi even has the fans back on board. And I feel like, yeah, you're right. This is Barcelona's to lose. I don't want to back a team here because I really can't split it, even though I do think Barcelona should probably just edge it here. But Barca to qualify at minus 115 is pretty good, which means if they win in regulation, if they win in extra time or in penalties, you still get your bet minus 115, almost even money for a team. Like I keep mentioning, is just a form team between these two.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. There's a lot of talk about this game going into extra time.
Yeah.
So I think what your bet is really good. Take Barcelona to qualify, but it's going to be a tight 90 minutes. I don't know what to expect. So I think it's probably the best bet you could go for.
Okay, let's move on to the final game we're going to talk about. Rangers plus 330 against Dortmund minus 135. This one in Scotland, 4-2, which is still unbelievable to even think about. They beat Dortmund at home 4-2, so the onus is all on Dortmund here. Away goals rule, like I mentioned, would be fantastic for Rangers. They'd be 4 goals up on away goals, which would be great, but that is not the case. Dortmund very much in this tie. Look what they did at the weekend to Mönchengladbach. They beat them 6-0. And that's without Erling Haaland. And speaking of Haaland, he did not travel to Scotland with Dortmund, so he's out of the lineup. Doesn't matter. Attacking-wise, Dortmund always a threat. It's at the back where the issues are, and we saw that in the first leg. We've seen that all year in the Bundesliga. So how I see this game playing out, obviously all attack from Dortmund. It's if the Rangers can score on their side.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them score on Dortmund, so I'm not too worried. I honestly think Dortmund has been a team that, in my opinion, watching them, especially without Haaland, they're just not the same team, and it's so crazy sometimes how you see these football clubs when a player is removed and how much it changes them. But it's not just Haaland too, right? Zakatu's out, Akanji, and Gio Reyna is not going to be there. That's massive, and I know they still have Royce and Bellingham, but it's not the same as having, especially Reyna and Haaland. For me, I think Rangers have to just sit tight, use the counter if you can, but they are there's no away goal, like you said, but they're still in a decent position. Come home, sit back, just, defend. If you have the opportunity, go for it. But I don't know. I don't think Dortmund are coming out of this round of 16, unfortunately for
I
them.
don't think so. I think they can score some goals, and I also don't think that Rangers are just going to sit back. Not at Ibrox in front of that crowd
Mhm.
who's going to be it's going to be electric. They're going to try and push and score some goals. And because Dortmund, like Lazio against Porto, Dortmund has to commit bodies forward. There's
Yeah.
going to be spaces in behind, and we obviously saw that Rangers can score those goals. They haven't conceded at home in 9 games, but that's against
Yeah.
Scottish Premier League opposition. That's no disrespect. Dortmund is just a different level to those teams. But Dortmund on the other side, they've scored in their last 10 away. They can score goals. So I see goals all over the pitch
Yes.
here today. My pick, both teams to score plus over 3 goals. I usually go plus over 2.5, but the value just isn't there because the bookies obviously know there's going to be goals here. So they've adjusted accordingly. So both teams to score over 3 goals is plus 215. I think that's fantastic value.
I'm also over 3 goals. Look at you coming on to the higher end of
Dee,
the
dee, dee,
goals.
dee. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be golazos all around. So I think it's the safe bet. You know what though? I do still kind of see like Rangers coming out a win. It's a bit of a riskier bet, but yeah, if you're unsure, go for the goals for sure because it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic week of football, and it's going to continue tonight or today and tonight and into this weekend. She's been Sara Poraria. Follow her at Sara Poraria on Twitter. You can follow me at the Real Bird V. Tune in tomorrow. I'll be here with James Sharman to tee up everything in the Premier League this weekend. Thanks for watching, and for more parlay content, please head over to parlay.tv.